the Spirit of Watercolor with Linda, and it's a rainy afternoon here. And you know, it's just one of those times where I'm feeling like I mentioned in the prior quote, if you haven't seen it, that's about watercolor and happy accidents happening. It made me think about just letting the paints flow and just seeing what happens when we do that, and what beautiful things can occur with the watercolor. It would be a non-representational work, possibly what I'm talking about, unless we see images in it. So we're just gonna let these paints flow, intense, gorgeous colors running together, see what we create. We've done this before, similar to this, but this one I just wanna see what kinds of things occur in the paint, and then take it to finish. So I hope you'll join me and just let your paints flow. Pick some gorgeous colors. You can go by the ones I use, or you can choose your own, some of your most vibrant, rich favorite colors, okay? And let's do it, okay? You'll see when we get to the table. Please join me. Please like and subscribe, and let's continue our fun and our enrichment of watercolor in the most spiritual medium, I believe. So I'll see you at the table. Okay, so here's one example of one where I really let the paints flow. I didn't quite finish it, I think, because I see darks here and here, but other than that, there's some really pretty color going on here, and some of my favorite colors. Okay, and I just let the paints flow down. I'm going to do it a little bit differently this next time. Not quite so centered, maybe not quite so many colors, although I love some of the things I've seen in here. So let's get loose and wet, and let's create something flowing, and if it becomes a landscape, great. If it doesn't, it may become something else, but let's give it a go. And it's a good loosening up practice as well, okay, even before you actually do a painting that has drawing and everything else in it. Okay, let's do it. I am going to use this paper. I like how it works. It's actually 300-pound paper, but it's beautiful, and it's called Stonehenge. Let me show you here. And it's yeah, 300-pound paper, Stonehenge paper, and it's very nice, beautiful cold press paper, and it wasn't so expensive as some. And what's the size here? I want to say 11 by 14. Oh, 10 by 14, excuse me. 10 by 14, it's tiny print there for me. And then we're gonna I'm gonna leave it on here, but I'm going to put some maybe tape around it, or maybe not. Okay, so at first I'm just wetting the paper in some areas so that the paint will flow. And then I'm going to pull in some of those. I love the pinks in that other painting there, so I thought, well, I'm going to add some beautiful pinks, and I have a Quinacridone Magenta and a Quinacridone Rose, which I'm going to intermingle into the middle of the painting, right here. Quinacridone Rose, Quinacridone Magenta. You can see that where it's wet, the paints are flowing, right? And but at the top where it's not wet, you keep that hard edge. Also notice that I use my big cheap Joes Golden Fleece brush. I still have this, even though it's got tape around it. It's still a great brush, covering a lot of area quickly. And also you keep your paints more fresh because you're not applying so much. When you have a small brush, you're stroking too much. This takes that problem away.
Also, I use paper towel. I always keep one handy. Sometimes I dampen it, and sometimes I use it dry, depending, if you want just to lift out a little paint, and if you want sort of strokes or streaks, then the paper towel's dry. But here I just wanted to kind of soften and lift out some gently there with the damp paper towel. Here we're adding more stronger value, much more concentrated paint on the brush. And then we are adding little points from or little like tree-like forms, at the top with the pointed end of the brush. And here on the other side, I'm using lighter values so that it looks further away in the background. Less paint, more water, same colors. And I'm about to add more green. I did put a little bit of soft green in the foreground, but I'll have to add stronger values, but I'm just placing where I want some trees in the foreground, just kind of telling myself that without drawing. But we'll add more value down there as we go. And we just keep adding more value because it's wet on wet, and sometimes this particular paper likes to fade on me quite a bit. So I have to keep adding value as it's drying. I decided to add some Sienna, dark burnt Sienna here, just to add another color in. So I'm going to add some soft blue and some of that pink into the sky, very gently and softly. Didn't want a lot of color there per se. Just adding in some color down here and thought, oh, it'd be nice to have some water in the foreground. Again, wanting the paints to flow down to kind of a white down at the bottom. This painting is more blending the colors together than the prior one. I just kind of let the pure colors stay where they were and didn't have them blend into each other. This is becoming different than the other, and I'm okay with it. Here I'm adding blue. I was thinking of a waterfall there, but I think that it didn't actually make sense the way it is with the sort of land in the foreground. So you'll see that I'll make some changes soon. So you'll see we're just adding and lifting where we need it, you know, adding more color, taking color out if we don't want it. Here I started to take from the blues I was using in the water and pulling them into the middle ground trees into the pink, because the pink was just too pink and I wanted to kind of make it a little more interesting colors going on in the middle ground, and also balance the painting with the same colors in the palette at the foreground needed to be immersed into the rest of the painting so that it works as a whole. And remember, warm colors come forward and cool go back, which I actually did that here. I thought some salt would add texture, and this is sort of the big kosher salt pieces, and just putting it in where I want to just create more texture-y feel to some of the parts of the painting.
I did find a mat that will fit, actually, and that's good because I think it'll make a difference if I can get a lot of that in there. And you can go up like that or bring it down. I like to bring them down here so you can see the water. And it's a much more moody, more complex piece than the other. But the same idea of just wet on wet and seeing where it goes. So I added some finishing touches, and that it's still kind of wet. I'm not going to put this mat all the way down, but there you are. Okay.